Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. So this morning I realized this video was not going to go up till Tuesday. I thought it was going to go up Monday, but then I saw that my video for today was not going to be released till 9 p.m. today on Sunday, say Sunday, April 12th. And so I made a lot of content that towards the end, there was J.D. Vance announcing that no deal had been reached, and I realized a bunch of shit was going to happen. So this is kind of a memento video. So I'm going to put this in the beginning of the video, and I'll start adding stuff to this, and then we'll get into why it happened, like all the things leading up to this, the beginning of this moment here. So later on in the video, you'll see J.D. Vance say there's no deal. And then this morning, Trump said this. So there you have it. The meeting went well. Most points were agreed to. But the only point that really mattered, nuclear, was not. Effective immediately, the United States Navy, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. So Trump is literally fucking blockading the Strait of Hormuz. That was his solution. He can't get the Iranians to open it, so he's going to blockade it so none of their ships can get out as well. Therefore, cutting off China and these other countries. So now, instead of Iran blockading the Strait of Hormuz, he's doing it, right? Which, again, remember he made all these threats about destroying bridges and their infrastructure. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but it seems like he's backed away from that. So that was all bullshit bluff. And now he's come up with this solution where he's going to blockade the strait, and all the other countries who are depending on it are totally fucked. And this is going to cause economic crisis, drive up your fucking prices. And Iran can just sit back and wait for the fucking fallout, right? Like it's retarded. Like he has no solution. His solution is just to get the fuck out of there. You fucking put your tail between your legs. You're not going to get Iran to sign off on any of these things. You've lost. They have leverage. This is a fucking loser move. And now you're fucking yourself and all these other countries in America. So let's read that again. Effectively, immediately, United States, the finest in the world, the United States Navy, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. At some point, we will reach an all being allowed to go in, all being allowed to go out basis. But Iran has not allowed that to happen by merely saying, there may be a mine out there somewhere that nobody knows about but them. This is world extortion, and leaders of countries, especially the United States of America, will not be extorted. I have also, you get extorted all the time, right? This is, extortion's a big part of global politics. But anyways, especially the United States of America, will not be extorted. I've also instructed our Navy to seek and interdict every vessel. Interdict? What is that, interdict? Every vessel in the international waters has paid a toll to Iran. No one who pays an illegal toll will have safe passage on the high seas. We also begin destroying the mines the Iranians laid in the Strait. Any Iranian who fires at us or peaceful vessels will be blown to hell. Iran knows better than anyone how to end this situation, which has already devastated their country. The Navy is gone, the Air Force is gone, and the anti-aircraft radar are useless. Khomeini and most of the leaders are dead, all because of the nuclear ambition. The blockade will begin shortly. Other countries will be involved with the blockade. Iran will not be allowed to profit off its illegal action of extortion. They want money, and more importantly, they want nuclear. Additionally, and at an appropriate moment, we are fully locked and loaded, and our military will finish up the little that is left of Iran. President Donald J. Trump. What do you mean the little is left of Iran? You're going to go after the oil and infrastructure? He's having a little tantrum. And again, he can't get it open. This isn't, you can't open it by closing it, right? Like he says they're going to go in there with minesweepers and all that shit. But there's fucking, He said himself, one guy with a pickup truck and a mine can close the whole fucking, the Strait down. And so they're fucked. Like, you can't do it. They can't fucking do this thing. He realizes, that he has no power here, even with this great military. The United States realized this when they had to go door to door and disarm insurgents. The American military isn't about insurgency and policing people. I mean, that's why the whole thing that happened when they were killing protesters with ICE, they're not trained to be police. Police and military are not the same thing. And so, you're fighting a war against individuals and small, drones and shit, and there's like, this is all fucked, right? Like, they can close the Strait of Hormuz. They have it. They have this thing. And, and they did it, and now you're closing it like fucking, and what else are you going to do next? Kill civilians? Like, everybody fucking hates you. I mean, this is like, other than your whatever dumb fuck supporters that are left. And the fact is, you won't go against Israel, which I get into here as we go through it. Like, this is about, this isn't about nuclear. This is Israel won't let him off the fucking hook here. You should be, you should be blockading Israel and fucking cutting off their monies and all that shit, right? But they have leverage over him. Their Epstein files are more important than his fucking, I talk about this later in the video. All right, so that's a place to begin, and then I'm going to let this all unfold, and we'll see what happens in the next couple days. But this is hilariously, bad. He's got nothing, and he just won't fucking admit it. Fold, bro. You got to fold. You got to put your tail between your legs. Everyone knows you're a piece of shit anyway, and you're just going to go down like you're going to take everybody down with you, you fucking selfish prick. All right, so that's that. Okay, here is this patriotic Mark Levin who has a picture of Abraham Lincoln and an American flag, but he's a shill for Israel, saying that, think about this, atomic bombs.
I think it would be very helpful to go back and read the terms of surrender for the Japanese, for our envoys to read it, because the Japanese were dug in, even after the dropping of 2 atomic bombs. And it took a lot of pressure, even after that.
What's wrong with his fucking eye? What's wrong with this motherfucker here?
To get them to surrender.
Look at these fucking ghouls. Like, all these fucking ghouls. That's what this is. Videos are going to be about ghouls. I don't say it till now, but like, I'm tired of like all these people. Like, there's just all these people that I watch on a daily basis. Like, I've developed an aversion. I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm tired of listening to them and looking at them, right?
Surrender. I'll see you tomorrow.
It's just
pressure, even after that, to get them to surrender. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Like, holy shit, this is Trump's one of his people he's listened to. Okay, so this is Fox News. This is Iranian pro-Trump woman who looks pretty sad. And Trump had this to say. This can test your critical thinking skills. Because Trump is lying about something. Because he's going to say something that contradicts, I can think, at least 5 different statements that he's made. He does this all the time, but this is, something to think about. So let's watch here.
He called the Iranians crazy, used some very strong language, told them to reopen the straits. He says that post is what led to these negotiations. Listen.
They're allowed to say death to America, death to this, death to...
Okay, so first of all, they're not allowed to say that. I mean, you could say death to Iran here. And people could say that, they could get banned from social media or whatever. I mean, you could say death to Iran or death to some other country. I mean, what do you mean they're allowed to say that? Now, it's not the leaders. The leaders are, it's usually students or the riot, people, the mob, protesters. And there's people in every country, right? And America's fucked Iran over multiple times. So they have every reason to feel this way about Israel and America. Like, they destroyed Mossadegh. Now, Iran was not in a beef with America or Israel or any of these things when they destroyed Mossadegh. The leader Mossadegh in Operation Ajax, which the CIA admitted to 65 years after they did it, right? Which fucked Iran. We know that. So, they have legitimate bad feelings. But, even if it's their leaders that are saying it, that doesn't constitute a plan. You were saying that, you can that you're going to bomb all their critical infrastructure and kill children and civilians, millions upon millions of people, making them suffer. That's what you said. It's not the same thing. You can't equate them saying, a limp dick statement like "death to America," that they're saying that equates to you saying you're going to bomb their electrical plants and water plants and put them back to the Stone Age and obliterate their country. When you have a case that follows around with nuclear weapons, it's not the same thing, brah.
Listen.
They're allowed to say death to America, death to this, death to...
He makes it sound like, he can't say death to Iran, like it's some different thing, right?
And I make one statement, they say, oh, such a big deal.
You realize the difference in your position, you dumb fuck. Like you're in charge of a military, the strongest military in the world, and you got fucking, warships outside their country. You're bombing their country. They're not bombing America, right?
Let me tell you, that statement got them to the bargaining table, and they haven't left. They haven't left the bargaining table.
Okay, so how do you know he's lying about something? How do you know he's lying about something? Because there's various contradictory statements. First of all, he's said the Iranian leadership is crazy. Like, these people are crazy, and all they care about is killing Israel and killing America, death to America, death to Israel. They don't care about their own people at all. And so, well, first of all, he said he's bombed the shit out of their country and they're completely defeated. That he's destroyed every part of their country, his military, and it is a complete, victory on his part. And yet they were not willing to bargain then. They weren't willing to bargain after that. Well, the real reason is the Strait of Hormuz is kicking your ass, right? And so when you said that you were going to bomb that critical infrastructure, that's when they came to the table. But the reality is they said, you accept our 10-point plan, and you said you were going to work after their 10-point plan. And because you caved, right? You caved that night. I mean, that's, been confirmed. But first of all, saying that they came to the table because you said you're going to bomb their critical infrastructure, they don't care about their people. You said they've murdered thousands of their own people. They don't care about their people. That's why they're not caving. And so you've made all these contradictory statements, right? Why would you bluster in about destroying their critical infrastructure, which would have demonized you in the world? Like, you would have been a fucking, and now everybody's going to say, well, he was just bluffing, because that's what you're saying now. That you just said that shit to bring him to the bargaining table. And they're rejecting the bargaining table. They've rejected all your proposals, right? They said it's because of a lack of trust, that they don't trust you.
America, death to this, death to... And I make one statement, they say, oh, such a big deal. Let me tell you, that statement got them to the bargaining table, and they haven't left. They haven't left the bargaining table. I predict they come back and they give us everything we want. And I told my people, I want everything. I don't want 90%. I don't want 95%. I told them, I want everything.
He wants everything. Now, again, you said you're going to work off their 10-point plan. And so you're the one who called off the guns, and now you've taken a different position altogether where you're blockading the Strait of Hormuz. Now that's on you. You could at least blame it on them for not letting certain ships through, but they were taking money from people. They were charging a toll, and they were delivering their oil and other people's oil. So now you've closed it off. So now nobody's getting shit, right? All these people suffer around the world because you've blockaded it after you create a war that you really can't win in this case. Because it's a war of aggression. You've pissed off the fucking Pope. You're getting into it with the Pope. You're getting into it with your NATO allies. China's gonna. It's all this shit. Like you're fucking. You're a man on an island, right? With a bunch of dumb fucks, right? So. It's just really bad. All you have to do is withdraw. Like, you have to stick your tail between your legs. Pretend you bluster and pretend you had this epic victory. And get the fuck out of there and let them open the Strait of Hormuz. But no, you had to do this. And you're just, you're coming up with any kind of desperate move, hoping that it's going to somehow give you a victory that you can't earn or you can't win because they can close the Strait of Hormuz. And that fucks everybody economically. It's an economic war now. It's a war against American credibility. It's a war against you. And you're being on the hook for the fucking nightmares scenarios that are going to come out of 20% of the world's energy and all the other things that are there. When people start starving all over the fucking world, it's going to be on you. It's going to be, you're going to be a Hitler. Like, they're going to remember you as a fucking Hitler. And you don't even fucking know it because you got all these yes men around you, completely isolated, insulated. And you make all these contradictory statements. I mean, you're a fucking total disaster. All right. So there's that. Okay, so it's Sunday night. This just happened.
U.S. intelligence that China is preparing to ship weapons to Iran. Have you spoken with President Xi?
Well, if China does that, China's going to have big problems, okay?
Okay, so look at this sad, broken piece of shit. Like, just won't. I mean, he's just such a loser. Like, fucking, he's such a loser, right? He's trapped in a fucking, nightmare scenario that's just going to end poorly for him and just taking everyone down. Like I said, this is, part of a divine plan, so I can't blame it on him. But this is a tragic flaws, like a Greek tragedy, right? Where the guy can't get out of his own fucking way.
President Trump has a warning for China, and I just asked him about this new CNN reporting from my colleagues who report that U.S. intelligence indicates that China is making preparations to deliver new air defense systems to Iran within the next few weeks, and that is according to 3 people familiar with recent intelligence assessments. Now, if China moves forward with this, it would mark a major provocation. Beijing has said it helped broker that fragile ceasefire agreement to pause the war between Iran and the U.S. And President Trump is also expected to visit China next month for talks with President Xi Jinping. Now, one of the sources said that China isn't trying to overtly enter this conflict, but does want to position itself as a friend to Iran, whose oil it depends on, while also remaining outwardly neutral. Now, a spokesperson for the Chinese embassy in Washington denied these plans, telling CNN, quote, China has never provided weapons to any party in the conflict. The information in question is untrue.
All right. So,
President, there's U.S.
this is going to end up in World War III. Like, everyone kind of senses it, right? Like, just the fact that Israel won't allow him to go do whatever he needs to do to get out and extricate himself from this, and he can't extricate himself from it anyway. And so, Iran's been planning for this for a while, and China and China's been hunting America, right? Like there's when you're the empire, you have a dynasty in sports. Other teams, position themselves and do everything in their power, make plans and draft players and do things to knock you off, right? Like, this is what happens when you're on top of the heap, and that's been happening for America. China's been hunting America and these other countries. And, it's going to fucking happen, like it just is. It's inevitable because it's divine providence. But this guy just, like he's kind of realizing he's a fucking patsy. Like he's a fall guy, right? So this is a rally in Vegas. I assume this is 2016. One of my viewers said Trump says he likes the stupid or whatever it was, or what he said here is this.
We won the evangelicals. We won with young. We won with old. We won with highly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
Yeah, you do, right? That's your groove, right? That's your peeps. Those are your people. He doesn't like smart people, right? And that's fairly evident. I'm going to leave this up because I want to cover this again. There's some poll out, and I want to get into this whole thing. The CNN did a report about how he's polling more highly with the dumbfuck Republicans than Tucker Carlson. But that's, I'll show you that, right? And I'll explain that. So, he likes the dumb fucks. All right, so I'm sure there's going to be shit going down on Monday, but we'll see, and I'll add something here, and then I got a whole, the beginning part of this video, which will be at the end of this video, which shows all the way we lead up to this and how tired I am of all these fucking people They're all just like I'm getting more and more of a aversion to all these, fake truthers and all these ghouls and fucking shitty people. Just, it's like I just, at some point you just, like you just had enough of it, right? And I'll talk about that. I already talked about that by the earlier part of this video, which will be at the end of this video. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. So there's a new Lego video there's like 3 new ones a day. They're great at talking shit to Trump. I'm not covering because of the copyright issue, but here, in this one, it's kind of a reggae thing. And there's a lot of good shit talking. This one's called Trapped in Lies, and at the end they say this.
Donnie, tell baby your leash is too short.
Tell BB your leash is too short. All right, so that's number 1 here. Okay, Monday morning, April 13th. I'm going to, like I said, I made the majority of this video Saturday. Trump is going to gaggle here in a second. But there's a psychological condition which is referred to as perseveration, which is saying the same things over and over again, right? There's, this happens a lot when people get older. Like my brother, who was one of the OG truthers, right? He was a Vietnam vet. He guarded poppy fields for the CIA in Vietnam, right? When he was on his on his way out. So he had this, he was an OG truther. He had an AM radio show and, good bullshitter, I mean, some of my stuff here is like his personality, right? Like, like you copy other people in your life, right? You have some, whatever it is, like you have, some of your personality comes from your, elders and people in your life. And my brother and I don't talk because, he's in with the dodgy bullshit, right? So that, whatever. But, when we talked maybe 2 years ago, whatever it was, for about a year or two, he's in his 70s now, late 70s. He would tell the same story in our conversation maybe 2-3 times, even 4 times, I think once. Like he would just repeat. And then every time we talked, he would repeat the same stories. Like he just, he had no consciousness of it, right? The inability to self-perceive. Like when you drink alcohol, there's part of your brain that you can see yourself as others see you. And that just gets like fucking, deactivated when you drink alcohol. Like and it happens as you get older. And Trump has lost in his own bullshit. He repeats the same things over and over again. How we're kicking Iran's ass, right? All these things. And, other than his dumb fuck followers, no one believes it, right? And he repeats the thing about the nuclear weapon stuff.
Probably heard that a lot of very good things are happening with regard to the Strait, Hormuz.
A lot of things are happening good with the Strait, Hormuz.
And a lot of good things are happening for our country. It's been very strong. We have some tremendous numbers released economically on jobs and everything.
So, I'm making, I'm making this video today. But, I started the back half of it, and I get into stuff with Tim Dillon saying, the stuff about Ketchupgate, and I'm just over this whole whatever it is, like this, all the blabbermouths, right? But, like, this stuff is, you can see it spiraling, right? Like, he's reaching for anything. And here's...
else, and things are going very well. Say it? I would say it's holding well.
What do you mean? It's done. Ceasefire isn't happening. Like, it's holding well, right?
Their military is destroyed. Their whole Navy is underwater. You know that? 150...
No, we've heard you say it.
Ships are gone. Their Navy's gone. Most of their mine droppers are gone. We have a lot of people, as you know, at 10 o'clock tomorrow, we have a blockade going into effect. That'll be 10 o'clock tomorrow. Other nations are working so that...
Well, that's why I say this.
Iran will not be able to sell oil. And...
Okay, what do you mean they're working? Like, what does the blockade mean? Like, it was like, all right, we can't stop you from closing the Strait of Hormuz, so we're just going to close it. But, Iran can't sell oil, so they can't get money for their oil. And that's going to have whatever impact. But, everybody else is going to suffer in the world and the economy. You're actually, they could just let you close the Strait of Hormuz until the fucking economy collapses, until there's global crises, and people are saying, fucking get away from it. He does not listen to anybody. He's so isolated and insulated. He's solely fucked, right?
That would be very effective. But what we want to do is we want to, and again, we don't need it. What we notice and what we see and what I think is maybe my idea, maybe not. I don't know.
So is it not real then? It's just your loose. I don't know. My medication's kicking in, so I'm not even sure this is real. I don't know if you guys are real. I think I might be hallucinating, but I have this idea that might be happening.
But there are many boats heading toward our country to fill up with oil and then go and take it. So they're not going to go through the Hormuz Strait.
So, you mean if you look at where the Hormuz Strait is, right, in relationship to the world. Here, let me show you a map. So here's Iran here, right? And I'm sorry, here's Iran. Oh, there's Iraq. Here's the Strait of Hormuz. See this little thing right here? And so the oil is going to go to these countries in here. China, right? So they're coming from here to here. And a lot of these countries here are suffering for lack of oil, like India and these countries here. See, that's like where they would sell their oil. Maybe over here to Africa somewhat, right? So this is where they sell their oil. Most of our oil comes from the western part of the country. So I don't know, you're not going to see a lot of, they're not going to come over here. So like Europe is all the way up here, and they would get oil, and the tankers would go over here to Europe. We'll also get some oil from the Strait of Hormuz, right? But, which isn't very close to them. They have this, wherever it would come out, go through here, whatever it is. There's some kind of passageway, wherever. But the majority of our oil's here in Texas, the Gulf of Mexico. So he's saying that they're going to go from around the Strait of Hormuz, up in here, around Africa, and then up here, through here, and then out, and get oil, and then go back up through here, and then over to these countries here, right? Or go this way, from here to Texas to California and these places, and then up. And so it's, it's shipping costs, right? You want to get the oil from where it's closest to you, just like anything else, because of shipping costs. And so even with that, there's going to be supplies going down and demands going up, which is stuff Trump should understand when he claims to be a businessman. Supply and demand. And then when the demand goes up, the prices go up. And then when the prices go up, food prices go up, and everything goes up that needs transportation. And then before you know it, inflation is globally doubling because 20% of the world's energy isn't flowing through, because you have all these countries in here, right? All these countries here that, Kuwait and Iraq, they have all this oil in fucking Saudi Arabia, and they can't ship it out, right? I mean, they can ship it out through here and truck it out, but everything's going to be more expensive. And there's going to be demand and supply issues, and demand's going to go up and prices are going to go up, and then it's going to spiral. And then there's other things, fertilizers for food, all this stuff that goes through there. Everybody, this is why he's talking about it all the time, because he knows he's fucked, right?
And ultimately that'll be corrected. But in the meantime, they're using us. We have more oil because of drill, baby, drill. We have more oil than Russia and Saudi Arabia put together. So if you look at Russia...
So we've heard this stuff. Like, how many times have you heard him say this, all these things? I mean, other than the new stuff about fucking him doing the blockade. Well, you guys aren't closing the strait. We'll close the strait. We'll show you who's boss.
And Saudi Arabia, two big ones. We have much more oil than they have put together. And what's happening is boats are coming over here, filling up. We don't have to go through the Hormuz.
Can you give us an update, Mr. President, on the two pilots? Are they in good condition? Have you spoken to them or their families?
They are in very good shape, and we're very proud of them, the two pilots, yeah.
All right, so I got something, maybe my wife sent me that, people are saying that that's all fake. The pilot's getting rescued, so, which, sounds like Trump, right?
I think Iran is in very bad shape. I think they're very desperate. We had a meeting that lasted 21 hours. We understand the situation better than anybody.
We do understand it better than anybody. Because we have such brilliant minds like Pete Hegseth and people with no experience and fucking double-digit IQs and people who kiss my ass as they're prerequisite to getting the job. And we're really good at understanding other people's point of views and the situation because that's what narcissists do, right?
And Iran's in very bad shape. And just so you understand, Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. Will not have.
Okay, so, you know, he's going to repeat this later in something else. When he talks about the Pope, I don't know if he's going to talk about it here, but I have another clip in case I didn't watch this whole thing last night. He's going to slam the Pope in a second here. But no one believes that other than your dumb fuck followers. No one believes this war is about that. You know, Marco Rubio admitted Israel pushed you into this. Everyone knows Israel pushed you into this. Other than just the dumbest of the fucks, right? You know, like the dumbest of the fucks might believe this about a nuclear weapon, but everyone else knows you were pushed in this by Israel, right? And like you just keep on repeating it like it fucking, you know.
There's no way that they're going to get. They still want it, and they made that clear the other night. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
Why would they say that when they made it clear? Why would they say, hey, we want a nuclear weapon, so you better just keep on bombing us? Like, if they were going to do it, why would they say it? Like, why would they? You know, Israel won't even admit they have a nuclear weapon. They're so used to lying about everything. They stole American secrets to get a nuclear weapon. You know, I mean, these countries, why you're our madman better than their madman, right? Like, who thinks Trump should have a nuclear weapon? I mean, at least unstable. It's clearly going fucking, you know, full Joe Biden here.
Oh, I don't know. I don't care if they come back or not. If they don't come back, I'm fine. Their military is gone. Their missiles are largely depleted. The manufacturing capability for missiles and drones is largely defeated. We've been very nice. We haven't ripped down too many bridges. We did one only because they broke their word. They broke their promise. And remember, their promise was that they were going to open the Hormuz Strait. They didn't do it. They lied.
They didn't lie. You fucking Israel attacked Lebanon and you couldn't control them. And so, you know, you look like a fucking punk. But then I was puppeting you, right? And, you know, so the Strait never took shape because of that.
Yeah, they're coming up and they're helping. Yeah, we have many other countries.
Do you have any countries that will be buying the oil from the United States? Have you had any talks with specific?
Well, you just have to see. But ships are heading up to our country right now, empty, and they're going to go back filled up with oil. Okay?
Why did you attack Pope Leo on Truth Social?
I don't think he's doing a very good job. He likes crime, I guess. He hit us. Think of it. He's worried about fear.
He likes crime. Well, yeah, the Catholic Church is known for liking pedophiles, just like you did with Jeffrey Epstein, right? You guys all like pedophiles because you are one, right? So, you know, I mean, you guys, you know, that's you have that in common. But he likes crime.
What about the fear when the ministers and the priests and all of those great people that were arrested during COVID, and in many cases they're outside 10 feet apart, and they were arrested. So we don't like it. We don't like a pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't.
Okay, so no one's saying that, right? Nobody's saying that. Like, nobody is saying that. Like, he keeps on repeating this, like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens and Alex Jones all said Iran should have a nuclear weapon. No one's saying that. There's no one out there saying Iran should have a nuclear weapon. They're saying that this was a war forced by Israel, that they were not close to, Iran was not close to completing a nuclear weapon, and you didn't have a plan for the Strait of Hormuz, and you're getting fucked. And Israel fucked you, and you're being a puppet. Like, that's what people are saying. You know, just keep on repeating it over and over again. The Pope didn't say he thinks Iran should have a nuclear weapon, right? You know, the Pope is presiding over the Catholic Church and, you know, the pedophile church and all that bullshit. And there's other things the Catholic Church does, but it's a mess. You know, I was born into Catholicism, and I had a good experience with it. I didn't have anything negative but it's a religion, and it doesn't, you know, disconnects you from God. You know, all these things blocks you from a God. It's a whole money-making scam, all the things I talk about here. And, I'm not a big fan of the Pope and all that bullshit, right? It's, it's degraded and debauched and all that stuff. But, the guy's better than Trump. The Pope is better than Trump. And you just keep on repeating the same shit over and over again. You've lost your fucking mind, bro.
A Pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person, and he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that...
You mean the Pope is a man... The Pope is weak on crime, so you don't like him? It's not his job to be strong on crime. He's not a fucking in the police. He doesn't have a... they have their own Vatican shit, but, it's not... he's supposed to be a spiritual leader, right? What the fuck are you talking about? But anybody who criticizes Trump, Trump can't hear criticism. And every great leader has to have critics around them, has people with opposing views around them. You have to understand people's opposing views. And Trump, anybody who criticizes Trump is wrong because Trump is God. The guy was never that bright. He was never that sharp, but he was much better than he is now. He's lost his shit, and he's got the thinnest skin of anybody in the fucking world. He's the most offensive person. He's still, looking for a Nobel Peace Prize, right? He needs total pats on the back and praise.
We should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon.
So this, you get it, right? Holy shit, you've said it 5 times. And nobody buys that shit. You don't even understand, he doesn't care what smart people think. He wants dumb people, like I showed you. Because, that's who would gravitate to that. All right, so I'm going to close up shop here. And then I'll revisit this if anything happens. And then I have the back half of the video, which just shows you all this stuff. It's kind of epic, this video, because of what it's covering here. All right, so let's, close this up for now. Okay, so, the blockade has begun. And Trump has said on Fox News that by the midterms, gas might be even higher. And he blew it off like it was no big deal. With Maria Bartiromo, which I'll show you tomorrow. But the biggest story, everyone's going nuts over this. There's 5 or 6 videos featuring this just on MS Now. Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly. There's videos popping up all over the place. I haven't watched any of them, but they're all featuring this image, right? So Trump decided to put this on Truth Social, where he's got the flag and the American eagle. I say this all the time. Well, let me switch over to a voiceover here. Okay, so I said many a time that you can't serve 2 masters. And, you'll have people like Tucker Carlson and other people say, you can't serve Israel, and America's interests can't always align, which I've talked about myself. But people can say something like that, but won't talk about how being a godly person and being a patriot are 2 mutually exclusive groups, because there'll be a time where your patriotism and what you're called to do for your country or your government will not align with your godly service, right? So there's that. And, these people that try to make a connection between Jesus and God in America, that's just false. God's everywhere, but God doesn't have a country. And, there's this idea that whatever America does, whatever Trump does, whatever Christians do is perfectly okay. American Christians and their government is perfectly okay because God's endorsing them and blessing them, which is bullshit. It's the worst stuff. But Trump is, a demon. He is, a person that doesn't want anything to do with God. It's clear as, all these guys have their fake pastors, their fake religion. They do it so they can appeal to religious people. They want to look like godly people. All these politicians, and Trump isn't really faking it. He's never been a godly person. He doesn't have that kind of energy. He doesn't have a healer. He doesn't have healing energy. Anything in this fucking picture, that's not Trump. And, it's blasphemy because he's the opposite of that. But people have conflated Trump. There's people who think Trump is like the reincarnation of Jesus. And, I've said this many times before, that Christians would reject Jesus if they met him. if Jesus reincarnated and came down, they would reject him. And they all say they wouldn't, but, they have their own imaginary idea of Jesus. And the real Jesus would bum them the fuck out, right? All these fake Christians, all these right-wing people. Okay, so in the part of the video I made yesterday, this is like kind of an epic journey through this whole kind of stuff that's gone on. And I'm just over all these people and all the bullshit. And I don't know how that's going to play out in my videos. We'll see. I'll start making more of it content tomorrow. It's hard for me to listen to them. It's all just like blah, 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 blah. And a few things happen I want to talk about here, and then I'm going to segue into the past and talk about these things that, I've already talked about them in a different way. And so there was a show on Apple TV called Your Friends and Neighbors, and me and my wife started to watch it. It stars John Hamm, who I don't know how I feel about him. He's, could be a little bit funny. He was good in that one movie where he went to recruit Indian pitchers from India. Cricket players, and that was a pretty good movie, Disney's movie. I've never watched Mad Men. But the shows on Apple are usually well done and high budget, but they all kind of suck one way or another. I like that one show, the Severance, that's kind of weird and interesting. I don't know. There's a few other things they that show that's Pluribus, right? In this show, it had some kind of stuff that was interesting. John Hamm plays a hedge fund guy who loses his job. Spoiler alert. It's not worth watching, but I'll express this as quickly as I can. He is a hedge fund operator whose wife, he caught his wife getting banged by his best friend who's a basketball player. And he's had to split up with her, and then he loses his job because he banged some girl at work who was, they just basically took all his money, and he's out, and he starts robbing people in the neighborhood, like lives in a really wealthy neighborhood, multimillionaires. He's robbing them, and they really give what's good about the show is they really condemn these rich people and their fake bullshit and their $35,000 bottles of pretentious wine and their fucking handbags, whatever those handbags are. I've covered them before. Hermes or Hermaphrodite or whatever, Hermes, I don't know. And he covers these overpriced watches, $250,000 watches that are probably like $1,000 to make, and just all this status bullshit. And just it hammers these people, and they're just soulless. And we're watching the show, and I'm like, I just don't like any of these people. This has happened now more and more, where there's no clear protagonist. There's nobody to root for. There's nobody to identify with. But there's a scene where the basketball player, who's now, in a relationship with John Hamm's wife, and she throws her a birthday party, and she acts like a real cunt. And, she comes up to him. He's kind of hurt by her actions. And, when he says, you're the one for me. Like, you're the one. And I'm like, how could she possibly be the fucking one? Like, how is she different than any of the other cunts? In fact, she's a little bit more moody than the rest of the cunts in the show. They're all like these real housewives in those shows. Pretentious, and all the guys are the same way. I mean, how could you look at any of these people and say, oh, this is the one? Like, they're not capable. Like, they're not autistic, but they're basically autistic of the soul. Like they have some kind of impairment that they can't connect with people. And everybody is so self-involved, and they say shit in the show like John Hamm's teenage daughter says to him, you didn't fight for us. And I go, what teenage kid would fucking say that bullshit, right? And if they are saying that bullshit, then they're not teenage kids. They're completely fucked, right? Kids are, whatever kids are, teenage kids, they're not great. Self-involvement, and, his son says, nobody sees me. His son's like some 12-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old fucking, drug addict. And he's like, nobody sees me. Like, who the fuck talks like that, right? I hope this isn't a real reflection of any group of people, but I know at least some of it is, the wealthy people. And I'm like, there's just not much, there's almost nothing to save here, right? And my wife and I were driving today, and we listened to a little bit of the podcast of Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson. And Dave Smith is interesting to listen to, but they start talking about 9/11, like pretending it was real, or they believe it's real. I don't even know about that. But there was something else that was very telling. And Dave Smith is talking about how that, they're winning the argument. Like, the more and more people are against Israel's, shitty behavior, and they're pro-Palestine. And on almost all the issues, these people, all the people that are there, and their perspective is winning, right? We all know this. The truther perspective is winning because, they're both talking about how a podcaster has no influence and has no power, and everyone attributes power to them. But then he said, but, Trump is listening to Laura Loomer and that guy, Levin, whatever his name is, Bobby Levin, that guy. And so they're winning the policy. Like and I've been saying this for years. Yeah, they're just going to do whatever the fuck they want, right? And they don't give a shit if you like it anymore. They just can't push you past the breaking point, which is, turning off the electricity, turning off the internet, not allowing you, not having enough food and water and whatever it is, electricity. I mean, all these things, right? I mean, it's, that was the only thing. Other than that, people will just take whatever you give them. And they'll whine about it on the internet. And this is a place where people can verbalize their opinions. But nothing ever changes. Nothing ever moves. Because all these people are waiting for Trump to change or waiting for somebody else to do something. And none of them want to change. And it's just so fucking hard to listen to these motherfuckers. They just don't get it. I mean, I have a different perspective here. And I'm going to get into Tim Dillon, these other people. Like 7 or 8 people sent me this thing from Tim Dillon about how he's, talking about Ketchup Gate or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, he's late to the party. Doesn't fucking matter. I don't give a shit if the guy agrees with me or believes what I believe or, something other than the spiritual stuff. But nobody wants to change themselves. But you're always waiting. People are always waiting for the worst people to change, making the worst people to change. These fucking criminal, demonic pedophiles, and you think they're the ones who are going to change when you won't fucking change? Why would you think, they're going to change when you won't change? It isn't an overthrow of the government. It's being, the kind of people that are worth saving. And there's almost no one out there worth saving, right? I mean, it's not up to me. It's not whether it's my opinion or not. But you look around, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, I wouldn't want to save any of these motherfuckers. I mean, in terms of, like, anything. Because they won't save themselves, right? And, the Christian religion's completely fucked because people aren't working on their connection to God. And they think just, doing what they're told and following their indoctrination is enough, and it just simply isn't. All right, it's late here. I'm going to wrap this up. This is going to be a long video anyway. I'll talk about this more, probably tomorrow. But, I'm just fucking over it, and, like, I've been over it at different times. But, it's, each time it's just, I'm less and less, I care less and less about the whole fucking thing. I mean, all of it, like, is just, like, pointless. It's toiling, right? Toiling is not working. It's a form of trying, where you don't succeed, you just try. You toil and you say, I gave it a good college try. But, you're failing. But you're pretending you're working and, pretending that you're doing something. You're not doing shit, right? Like, people just blabbering about it, all this shit on the internet doesn't change a fucking thing. I mean, I guess you're witnessing to a certain extent. But God isn't coming to save you, and if you're not willing to save yourself. All right, so that's it for that. Here's the rest of this video, which is sort of a prequel to what we just saw. Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. You sad, bro? Huh. So this is Saturday, the whatever, of April, the 11th. This video isn't going to go up Monday. I've already putting up my video for tomorrow. So this video is going to be made Sunday, and there's a video already made that's going up tomorrow night. But I had a few things to say here. I want to revisit the Candace Owens, Erica J. Kirk feud. Now, Erica's looking very, not only depressed and mad, but also, this is how she's been looking for a while. But also, kind of dudeish, right? Effeminate dudeish, right? Like a little bit of,
But it's freeing.
It is freeing.
It is freeing.
Let's start over.
But it's freeing.
It is freeing.
It is freeing when you can say, I pray for them.
Again.
Even though they hate me.
Yeah, like when she watch her eyes, they go call full reptilian here.
I pray for them, even though they hate me. I pray for them.
Okay, her eyes went full reptilian there. The thing about it is like, see if I can get that shot. Yeah, right there. The thing about it is, why do they hate you, right? Like, there's a reason. And, I don't hate anybody. These people are, whatever, they're not even, like, real to me. But, the thing about it is, there's a reason why people don't like you. The people who like you because of who you married and what you represent. But even those people are probably pretty iffy. So people just don't like you. And so why is that, right? Like, what is it about you that they don't like? And so, because you're trying to be likable and you're trying to have a following and be popular, and the people just aren't digging you. So why is that? Like, what's happening? What's happening that's, like, there's a reason for it. Your fake crying, your behavior, your insincerity, I mean, all of it. Like, you're not believable, the lack of authenticity, and then just your personality, the way you put things, the way you say things, over the top, your fake passion, whatever. Like, there's reasons for it, right? It's got a freedom hat. I mean, and it's very condescending to say that you're praying for them even though they hate you. Because, like, maybe they're hating you is something that you need to fucking learn from, right? So
I pray for them because it frees you from, like you said, Pastor James, that poison.
That's right.
And it frees
you don't look freed because you look pretty bummed ever since. You look a lot sadder now than you did right after your husband was murdered, right?
you from that hold that they could have on your heart because you won't let them break you. You won't let the world break you.
Why is the world trying to break you? Like, why, you live in a world where everyone's trying to break you. It's because you're a Christian. Is that what you think? Or what do you think your reasoning is today? Why do you think the world's trying to break you? Like, you put yourself out there and you had all the, goodwill of all those people who are a part of your group, your husband's group. You had all that, right? You were like, just, you were in, like you had it. You were like, you had a pathway to celebrity. You were made a CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. And, so like people were rooting for you. I mean, there's some people, the liberals, but, this isn't about the liberals because the liberals are the liberals. They're, all that stuff. But like that, like it's the people inside your own group that got you, right?
Right. And it's even personal for me. I have two children to raise. I have an organization to run. I have students counting on me to show up. And
yeah, that's that's true. I mean, maybe the kids, maybe your kids, if they're, I mean, you still have nannies and shit, right? That's part of the problem. Like, she's not good at any of those things. Like, she's hurt the company. I mean, that YouTube channel, I did something yesterday on that. I mean, that's like it's TPUSK is dead. Whatever's left of their real MAG, the real Trumpers or the rest of it. But she's hurting all of those things. I'm sure she's hurting her kids. Right? She's fucking her kids up. And she doesn't have to do any of that stuff, right? She should just disappear from the public eye. She's not good at it. And she's causing chapters to leave and people to leave, all these things. At some point you get it. It's like you're like fucking, you're forcing something that isn't for you. Like, you didn't create it. You're not part of it. You're not, you're not good at it.
And that is where my energy goes.
That's right.
Every single day, that's where my energy goes. And, and Pastor James, this too, at a micro level, we see it. We live in an attention economy where it's designed to keep people angry and it's designed to keep people divided and continuing to scroll and to get their clicks. And a solved problem on the internet or wherever does not drive engagement.
Okay, so that it's not a systemic problem. Like, I'm a system person. I talk about how bad the system sucks more than anybody. But this isn't a system problem. This is a you problem, right? This is a you. What's happened here is, when Trump recruited people, when he was laying out a big tent, and he did this first term to the truthers, when he cultivated Alex Jones. Again, Alex Jones is not a real truther, but, the right-wing dopes that he got in his first run for president, he pandered to the truthers a little bit when he was a candidate and other people, even Republicans. And then he turns on, this is what every politician does. They make promises they can't keep. And they have conflicting interests. They have the people that run them. They have their handlers, their controllers, people who control them, people they have to answer to. And their desires are in conflict with what the promises they made to you. And so Trump was going to have to cut some of these people loose, the Epstein people, because Epstein, he's Epstein, so he was going to have to piss those people off. And all the people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, all the people who were passionate about that, he's going to have to say fuck you to them. And then all the smart people, like it was going to come down to smart people who were going to hold him to his promises, people with critical thinking skills, all those people, he was going to have to say fuck you to them. And so what he's got is these dopes, grifting dopes. He's got other grifters, right? Somebody who's come in and did whatever she's a part of her husband's death, whatever that fucking thing is. And so, and they're just, they got some people who are just ignorant enough and, low conscious enough to go along with this.
And a resolved grievance does not generate clicks. Mm-hmm. So some people, have made a very deliberate choice to live their life that way. Mm-hmm. And you, Pastor James, and all the other people that are inside of Bible and 365, that is their business. That's not ours. Mm-hmm. Our business is of the Lord.
It's of the Lord. Her business is of the Lord.
And every single day, no matter how much you talk about us, that's your business. Our business is the Lord's, and we will just pray for them and keep moving and keep building.
Pray for them to not shit on you anymore. Pray for them to not dislike you. Like, why are you praying for them? Like, you're the only relationship they have with you, the only thing they have to do with you. You can send, I say a general prayer for everybody in the world to come to spirituality. It's part of the Sajmark system. And the energy is really good. It changes my whole mood. It's every night at 9 o'clock. Pray that all my brothers and sisters are filled with love and devotion, and real faith is growing stronger in them. And we do it for 15 minutes, and, it's transformative. I enjoy doing it. I've done it for 30 years. And it's just a prayer that people will come to spirituality. And, the results, I'm not interested in that. It's just, something that we're supposed to do. Most people who did Sajmark didn't do it because it's not mandatory. And none of the stuff's mandatory, but it has to do with other people. And, people just didn't and it's also at a set time. But I've always enjoyed doing it. But, that's about it, right? Then some people write to me and they want me to pray for them. And I will, and I don't know what kind of prayers, what kind of, results they'll get from that. But in terms of praying for people who are shitting on you, why you do it. She says so that she doesn't feel resentful towards them. But you're not really praying for them, right? Because you're praying for them to come to the right path, which is in agreement and alignment with you, and you're a fucking grifter, right? So, she's not really praying, but I'm saying this fucking attitude and saying this is kind of obnoxious.
That is our business.
That's right.
Our business is kingdom business. Everything else is of the world.
It's about our Father's business.
Amen.
Amen. You don't look like you're happy. She's got a permanent frown now. And she didn't have it after Charlie died. Like she's, because it didn't go the way she thought it was going to go. All right, so that's one half of the equation. Okay, so this little clip I saw, it was recommended to me on Twitter, and there was some text to it. And she's going to make a claim here, and, this is the other side of the equation, right? This is the people that Trump had to say fuck you to. He had to make a choice, right? Like there was a division happening. You know that things aren't going well when there's a rift within the MAGA group, the overall MAGA group. And now you have Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens on one side and Trump and TPUSK on the other, right? And they used to be together. She used to work for TPUSK. Tucker Carlson still has a relationship with Erica Kirk and those people over there. But because he's shitting on Trump and he's, saying the things Charlie was saying before he died, they all have to line up against each other, right? This is a family divided. And she makes this claim here.
Was something that Charlie Kirk told me before he passed and something that Andrew Colvett confirmed to me. This is, again, when everybody was good. And obviously things are not the same between me and Andrew Colvett because I don't believe him. I just don't believe him.
You just said he confirmed something to you. Like, you think he just became a liar? You think just now he became a liar? Like he wasn't a liar at all and then Charlie died and he became a liar? Like, you believed him there's like a date where you believed everything he said when it, lined with shit that you want to say, right?
But before it was announced that Miriam Adelson gave Trump $100 million, this was, I think it was announced in July or just before July of 2024. And I was told by Charlie that he and Andrew Colvett were present for that meeting with Donald Trump. And the reason that Charlie told me the story, and again, I could go back and try to figure out when exactly the discussion happened. I want to say it was May. So I knew that money went through, and I knew what she wanted in exchange for $100 million. What Charlie and Andrew Colvett told me was that she said that she wanted in exchange for Trump to allow them to annex not Gaza, but the West Bank. I was stunned by this. I think it has since made the news. But of course, this is like...
Okay, so again, this is where Candace Owens revealing she's a real piece of shit. Because, you know, she pretends that like she was on Erica's side for a while. And she praised Erica's speeches even though she knew they were shit. But then she came out and said that when Erica came into his life, Charlie cut her off, Candace Owens off. Like she got fired from TPUSK and everyone thought it was because she made comments about Hitler. But it was because she said she left. This is her story. Because Charlie was meeting with some guy, a pro-Zionist, some Zionist billionaire, rich guy, and he didn't tell her about it. And she was, you know, a big part of TPUSK. She was working there. It was like 4 years ago. And she reveals this 3 months after he's dead, and when she's finally setting in on Erica. And so she asked Charlie about it. She said, "When's the last time you've seen this guy?" And Charlie said, "Oh, it's been months." And then she was like in an elevator. You know, elevators always go down to hell. I did a whole thing about this when I covered Prince's death. Staircases go to heaven, symbolically, and elevators go to hell. And she's in an elevator with Charlie Kirk. And she said she, was hurt and devastated, and she quit DPUSK because he lied to her. And it was, she could tell that she was talking about it in the framework of Erica coming into his life and Charlie kicking her to the curb. So she was always angry and bitter and disliked Erica, even though she's pretended otherwise, right? Well, here's another time. Because, whenever she found out about this meeting with Marion Adelson, she gave him $100 million. Trump $100 million fucking dollars. This is, that's the money that Charlie Kirk got. And they, they're not giving you that for nothing. And she wanted him to let Israel take on the West Bank. That's what she's saying. And, her claims are always suspect because she's not credible. But if this is true, you waited till he shit on you in a tweet to tell everyone about this, right? Like, not before the war, not when you covered Marion Adelson, being, I don't know if she praised that, but Trump went to the Knesset. She certainly saw it. There's multiple opportunities for you to talk about this. And maybe she's talking about it in the past, but it seems like something she's just dropped. And she does this, she holds on to this information to when it suits her, like when she can use it against Trump because she's in a shit fight with him right now. Not when it's really imperative and important. But these are all these pieces of shit that, back Trump. And now they're divorced, right? They're going through a fucking family splitting up. And, it's ugly. And you don't come back from shit like this. Like, there's no kumbaya moment coming. Like, this is just going to get fucking worse. All right, let me wrap this up here, and I'll come back to, I'll do some more stuff later on today or tomorrow. Okay, still Saturday, April 11th. I got a little extra time here. I saw a few things I want to comment on right away. And I have a story to tell in a little bit and a comment to get to. One of my viewers sent me this. This is Tim Dillon.
Assassination attempt at Butler. I don't care.
Let's go back one little thing here.
Assassination attempt at Butler.
Please, I got the same thing again. All right. I thought I had queued up. It's called being queued up here. Okay, go. Here we go.
I don't care if he staged the assassination attempt at Butler. I don't care.
Okay, so look at this fucking piece of shit here. This is Tim Dillon. I find it like harder and harder to listen to these people. I don't know what's happened to me. You know, like whatever I've gone through physically lately and spiritually. Like they're just like it's like, you know, something that's disharmonious, like goes against nature, right? You know, like it's just this guy's a comedian and you know, whatever. Semi-truth or whatever. It's not, you know, I'm long past identifying with people because we believe the same thing, especially since the collapse of the Sajmark system into that heartfulness debacle, right? But I just can't, you know, I'm going to share something with Alex Jones, and, you know, he's always been kind of repulsive, and you know, he seems to be kind of a beaten dude, right? But anyways, let's get back to this here.
I don't care, and I think he should admit it. I think he should admit it. I should change the subject. Stop talking about Iran.
You know, these people who just scream, like, just, like, obnoxious, like, you know, everything about it is like he's a beast with these tiny little hands and his fucking just, you know, I just...
Just admit you staged it in Butler. It was the heat of the campaign. People do crazy things in campaigns. I think, I'm speaking just for myself, I will not think less of you if you admit to staging and...
All right, so, you know, I just can't go on farther with this. The issue here is, like, I'm not mad at it, any of this stuff. You know, because I don't expect anything from these people. I don't expect anything from Trump, right? But, you know, if you're taking this seriously, and you voted for Trump, and you're thinking he's going to make America great again, and he lied about the assassination attempt, well, that means he's a piece of shit and worthless, and everything that he stands for is a lie, right? Now, if you're somebody who's like, well, I know Trump is shitty, but it's a lesser of two evils, and I don't want a Democrat to win, or, you know, he's going to do this thing for me, maybe, it'll benefit me personally. Well, yeah, that's whatever. But I'm talking about people who believed in Trump. And I don't know, like, those people should realize he's a piece of shit by now, regardless of the you know, whether, I mean, this thing's staged, but let's say it wasn't, you know, that still doesn't matter. He's still a piece of shit, but, like, he's just, you know, he should be clear to everybody. But, you know, I mean, with Erica Kirk and Candace Owens and just all these people, I can't, you know, I just can't listen to them. Like, I just, you know, it's my job to make fun of them and mock them, and, you know, I don't know whether I still think I enjoy that, but, you know, I mean, it's just so bad. All right, so that's Exhibit B, C, whatever it is. So Alex Jones, when he isn't doing a show from his 1991 Toyota Corolla, he still has some sort of a studio here. My wife told me about this.
Handle breaks. Do we throw that battle axe away? No. We fix the handle.
Oh, yeah.
A giant wrecking ball. He's a battle axe of the Lord.
Oh, yeah, let's go back.
Give you another scripture. I want you to hear this. Watch. Jeremiah 50, and tell me if this is not what Donald Trump has been doing.
Jeremiah 51, 20, 23. Go ahead.
All right. Thou art my battle axe and my weapon of war. For with thee I will break in pieces the nation.
Trump is a weapon in God's hand. Not a politician, a battle axe. And as Christians are, so are we.
And with thee I will destroy kingdoms, and with thee I will break in pieces the horse and the rider, and with thee I will break in pieces the chariot and the rider, and with thee also will I break in pieces the man and the woman, and with thee I will break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid.
Okay, so, you know, the Old Testament, aside from God being obsessed with circumcision and foreskins and sacrificing animals and kids and whatever, and, you know, and David having to get 100 foreskins of the Philistines, because, you know, that's what David had to do to get his wife, and all the other bullshit that's weird as fuck in the Bible. It's a very violent book, and God is very violent and talks about violence and is always, you know, punishing people and wrathful and telling them, destroy these motherfuckers, destroy those motherfuckers. The God of the Bible, the Old Testament. And it's not God, it's a demon, right? Really obsessed with violence, anger, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. And, you know, this group of people, which now we're dealing with in terms of Israel, you know, it takes this attitude, right? You know, it's a mafia family. It's like a crime family. Thinking God is the, you know, it's the Godfather, right? You know, And this battle axe bullshit.
And I will also in pieces with the shepherd and his flock, and with thee will I break the piece in pieces, the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, and with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers. What has Donald Trump been doing on the behalf of this nation? Wrecking shop. The man is a giant wrecking ball. He's a battle axe of the Lord. In fact, Alex, you're a battle axe. You just run around wrecking everybody.
A battle axe for the Lord. I'm going to switch over to voiceover in a second.
Boom, boom, boom. I'm a battle axe. Every Christian is called to be one of the Lord's battle axes. So
yeah, you know what the fuck you're talking about, right? You know nothing about God, and you guys look at this fucking guy trying to.
If we have this beautiful, vintage battle axe that's chopped off millions of heads and won millions of victories, but the handle breaks, do we throw that battle axe away? No, we fix the handle. But it has to be fixed spiritually. Now, on to Israel and Iran. I don't understand, Alice, where this expectation of there's going to be peace comes from. None of those people have accepted the Prince of Peace. They all reject Jesus Christ. Where's this peace going to come from?
Yeah, because Christians are known to be really peaceful. People who accept Jesus are the most peaceful. And, it's not like they're obsessed with the Second Amendment and guns and fucking war and the military and all the and all the fucking wars and all the fucking religious wars and all the crusades, all that kind of bullshit.
The reason why you saw the movement was when J.D. Vance, a man who sits on a throne who's a Christian, interceded in and was injected into the equation, then we started moving towards peace. But I expected Israel to attack. I expected Iran to attack because they don't accept the Prince of Peace.
But America is never the fucking, we're the best because we're Christians over here and we're really peaceful. We just spend more in military than anybody else and fucking export death and pain and suffering like no other country on earth. In history, no one's seen violence like, no one's seen numbers of violence like these numbers.
And we have to understand this. There's these false expectations we have, although all the information is in front of us. So people are mad at Mark Levin. I expect Mark Levin to be a...
How long every day does this guy got to work on achieving this U-shaped fucking beard?
Rank devil. Sorry, I just expect him to behave like a rank devil.
Hold on, Pastor James Williams, Darkwater, stop. This literally, Rob New just walked in here, a news director, been here 18 years. He just walked in. This was delivered to the door by FedEx 2 minutes ago. You talk about a biblical sign. This was just delivered.
Wow, it's a sign from God. Sign from God.
To the door by FedEx 2 minutes ago. Rob, you just ran in here. What? You got a letter. What does this say? I mean, this is biblical. This is how God works.
It's biblical. This is biblical right now. Alex Jones got an axe from a fan or supporter. Maybe it's a death threat from somebody. Who knows?
Somebody got touched by God. I'm crying right now.
I got a battle axe. I got a battle axe from God. God, give me a battle axe. I have a battle axe, God.
To mail this literally just...
I can't believe it. I can't fucking believe it. You were talking about battle axes and I got a fucking battle axe.
Showed up FedEx. Rob, come here. Sit down. Let's read this. What the hell's going on here? You just said, literally, as you said, battle axe, FedEx arrived. What the...
So literally about 10 minutes ago, the guy who runs the business side of things brought this to me. He goes, usually we don't bring things over like this, but he goes, this just came in. He said it's a battle axe. I couldn't believe it. I heard you talking about it, Pastor. And I didn't even unwrap it and look at it yet. I literally grabbed it and said, well, we need to bring this on. Yeah, I just unwrapped it in front of you. Yeah. So it's got a strap on it. This guy
Wait, it's got a strap on it? Alex likes straps. Alex likes strap-ons. Like, that's his thing. I like the strap-ons. I like the strap-ons in my battle axe.
Ken, I'm not going to give his last name, but Ken from, looks like Lapine, Oklahoma.
Lapine, Oklahoma. That's the land of the Lord.
Maybe Oklahoma. 97739 is the zip code. But he sent it to us. He's an old carpenter and craftsman, and I was making this axe, and God told me it was for Alex Jones.
No way. No fucking way. No way, man. It's just this is...
Literally what it says right there. I mean, it says it right there.
Fire burn. There it is.
Put it right there.
You just saw this. Is this insane?
It's in fucking insane. It's fucking crazy. Like, nobody could stage something like this. You have this guy talk about battle axes, and then you stage this letter and this bullshit thing.
You guys can get
That's how our God works.
Shot of that on the
That's how God works. We're just seeing how God works.
on the doc
just
mic.
showed up. Literally, read what he said. Read.
You know, you can see God in people's faces. Like, you can see a spiritual person. You know, there's just a wisdom there. There's a softness in their eyes, and there's just something there. Like, you can tell when somebody's a godly person. Right? You just you might not notice it, but if you look at them, it might be there. You don't really notice it, but you're gonna, if you're looking at it, you're evaluating a person. You can see, right? You can see the stupidity and the narcissism and the fucking insanity. Like, these motherfucking people out here, all these people in front of the camera, all these people that are in the public eye, they're just so fucked, and they're getting worse. It's like they're coming apart. Like, they're so fucking, they're so like abnormal, like abhorrent. Their abhorrency is like being ripped apart, right?
Don't show his name.
Yeah.
Read what he said.
Yeah, he said, Alex, I'm an old carpenter and craftsman. I was making an axe for God, and he told me it was for Alex Jones.
Read it again, because fucking this is so. I mean, you got to read it twice.
In my fertile imagination, I built a 2-story that would be presenting it to you, and I won a truck. Well, that didn't happen. I wonder what I would do with the axe. Every time I went to the shop, God reminded me, that's for Alex. I haven't even read this before.
This exact moment.
Yeah. I was talking to my son, Jerry, telling him about this, and he said, just send it to him. So here's the axe, brother. This is your battle axe. Let me remind you that God loves you and gives you strength and courage.
Nothing shows God love like a fucking axe, like a battle axe. There's just nothing, something that if you swing it, it like leaves a big gouge and opens up a fucking part of somebody's body with a, worse than a knife or a sword, because it's got heft behind it. There's nothing more spiritual than a fucking battle axe, swinging it and chopping off some person's fucking head, because that's God's will, right?
The best to you as you move along in this crazy world. Love your methylene red. Really gives this old man energy. God bless you.
Look at this.
Ken.
He's literally talking about this in this.
I mean, who doesn't look at this and say, "Look at this. This reminds me of God." This fucking axe.
Literally gets, he said, delivered to you right as he came on. I mean, this is insane.
It's just insane. It's like I said, it's fucking crazy. This is insane, my vital axe.
This is how God works. Go ahead.
It's just how God works, exactly. You got this dumb fucking pastor who's just talking shit and about violence and battle axes, and still talking about Trump. And then you got fucking. Are you going back in on Trump now? Is that what you're doing? You fixing the handle, Alex? You gonna put on your strap on and fix the handle?
Look at this.
You're gonna fix Trump's handle for him?
It's got a little trusty carrier to it.
It's got the cross right there. Right on it. It said God.
There's cross. There's nothing more like this says Jesus than a battle axe. Why don't you put some 9-inch nails on it, some fucking crown of thorns, and a spear?
He told him to do this just for this moment, so people see how real God is. Look at that's another miracle right there.
Yeah,
that's a fucking miracle. It's a miracle battle axe.
That's pretty crazy.
It is fucking crazy. It's nuts.
And the blood coming off the cross.
The blood coming off the cross. Nothing says God and Jesus' blood dripping off a fucking battle axe cross.
It is right there.
That's gorgeous.
It's fucking gorgeous. I looked at that. I said, "Oh my God, how beautiful is that fucking thing?" That is just a beautiful battle axe. Like, I like a good axe. I like to chop wood. When I get the opportunity, we used to have a wood burning stove. I had a maul, like one of those big ass mauls, and it's fun, pretty fun. I don't know, I'm older now, probably get really sore. And I like axes, I like tools. But fuck, right?
Wow.
Butt fuck, right, Alex?
Wow.
And I didn't read what you said till 10 minutes before you came on.
No, I just got
this thing, it all came together.
And walked in here. I'm like, this needs to go on the air. It was a sign from God.
It's a total sign from God. I mean, nothing says God like a fucking this menagerie of insanity that you're throwing out there.
I tell you what, Let me do something. We need to give God some glory right now.
Oh, this is God.
Oh, fire, Holy Ghost fire burn
Holy
everywhere.
shit. You're not going to fucking sing, are you, bro? It's not a fucking musical.
Oh, fire, Holy Ghost fire burn.
All right, so were you ever a good singer?
I say fire.
Holy fuck, right?
Holy Ghost fire burn everywhere. Oh, fire. Holy Ghost fire burn.
You guys are all actors, right? I know Alex Jones was, Alex Jones when he got divorced, his lawyer said he's a performance artist, right? And this is great for performance art. It's very entertaining. But Jesus Christ.
Lord, thank you for verifying your word. Thank you, Lord, for showing yourself, Lord. There's no way. There's no way. This is only you, Lord.
There's only you. There's the only way this could happen. There's the only way this come together. That the Lord said, I want to have this beautiful moment on Infowars.com with Alex P. Jones. The guy who likes to suck ding-dongs.
There's no one but you that's this glorious, that's this powerful, Lord. And thank you for the example that you've given. Alex is a battle axe. Your president is a battle axe. And Lord, we repent. We repent, Lord, for not being derelict in our duty, Lord. And now we intercede on the behalf of our president, Donald J. Trump. Lord, we decree and declare, as the ecclesia now in the name of Jesus Christ, that every form of witchcraft, sorcery, and divination has been cast against our president is
Oh, shit. All right.
now broken.
It's broken because of the battle axe. Like, we're bringing it.
We invoke and plead the blood of Jesus Christ against it, Lord. His realm of thoughts and his realm of imaginations, Lord, we invoke and plead the blood of Jesus Christ over that, and we decree and declare freedom for his mind.
Okay, I just, holy fuck, right? So let's go switch over to voiceover. Okay, so there's an obsession with war that comes from the Old Testament and in the Muslim tradition, and then of course with Christianity. Because it was meant for dumb fucks, right? These religions. This was never for sophisticated spiritual people. There are branches. There's the Sufis in the Muslim tradition. I always talk about how much I love the worldly dervishes. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I don't know what spiritual benefit is. But I just think it's cool. And I'm not a big dance fan. I mean, it's all, I'm not against dance, but what's that movie? Footloose? No dancing. But, I'm not, whatever. But and there's a Kabbalah in Judaism, and I don't know that much about that either. But, there's some of these, for honors, people with some spiritual capital, right? People who have some, what happens to people is you live a life and you become famous. Like Donald Trump is either a higher developed soul doing God's work and playing a buffoon, right? Playing a role here because it's necessary. Because oftentimes saints are playing villains in this divine drama. I'm not saying that's true with Trump. I don't know, but that's a possibility. And probably not. I think, but whatever. And if it wasn't that, he would be a first-time soul. First or not first, but second life, third life, maybe, as life as a human being, where you're born into your first life, and you're usually going to be poor. You're going to be animalistic, and you might be like a very pure person, but you're gonna be underdeveloped. You're going to be, laborer. You're going to have trouble with abstract thought. Maybe you were a dog or a cow or something in some past life, a service animal that was around human beings, and you move up to being a human being. And you're going to come in, and you're not going to, you're going to be on a lower pecking order, lower caste, lower level, levels of uneducated usually. It might be a short life. And you have a few lives like that where you're suffering. And you're like, only if I was rich and famous and powerful. And then you work your way up, 2, 3 lives, 4 lives. And you become something like Donald Trump is, whatever it is. Or just, rich and powerful in your own little area. And you become even more miserable. And now you're no longer pure. You're no longer sort of innocent. You're kind of a prick. and you're unhappy, you're even more unhappy. And you start going, God, what is this for? What's my life, right? There's that great story from Hinduism. The Krishna is the incarnation of Vishnu, and Vishnu comes down with his ego. In the Mahabharata, his ego is Arjuna, and Arjuna is Krishna's best friend. And these two souls come down together. One's the ego, one's the soul. And the ego is always asking questions and getting taught about life from the soul. It's kind of an interesting dynamic. And so they're bouncing around all over the place. Nara's the ego and Narayana's the soul, right? And they go to this emperor, and the emperor's begging God for more kingdoms, more victories. And Narayana hears his prayers, and he says, all right, give the guy what he wants, more victories. And then there's this other guy, he's a saint. And all he has is like a little hut, and he's like, all he has is this cow. He drinks the cow's milk. And the cow's sick, and the guy's praying that the cow gets better, and Narayana kills the cow. And Nara's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is totally unfair. That emperor's a prick. He's a fucking, immoral person, power-hungry piece of shit. And he prays for more, and he's already got so much, the greedy fuck. And you give him more. And this guy has this saint. It's like this great saint. He's a wonderful person. And all he has is this cow, and you take that away from him. You give the other guy more. And Narayana says, look, that fucking emperor, he's a long way before he comes to me. He's not, he's multiple lives before he gets it, right? And, so this will expedite his, give him everything he wants just so he can figure out that it's not worth anything. And then he'll, choose a spiritual path. Whereas the saint, the only thing that was separating him from full dependence on God was that cow. He was, partially dependent on God and partially dependent on the cow, right? And I took away the cow, now he can be 100% dependent on God and will be liberated and free from the bondage of his earthly existence, right? So a very interesting story. And so, what I was getting at here is you live enough lives and you get to the point where you realize that all the material pleasures, all the things that are here, all the goals, all the things that people think are important, isn't important. And that you're here for a different purpose. And it's spirituality. And you either make a decision to go and pursue God, and you start having an aversion, or just you lose interest in material life. I mean, you still enjoy what you enjoy. You still, you still get sucked in and bogged down like everybody else. But, deep down, it doesn't take hold on you. You just don't really care about it, and you're just, you're working towards, more and more of God and less of materialism, right? And if you don't make that choice, you end just saying, fuck it, I'm miserable, but I'm just going to dominate here on earth. I'm stuck here. I might as well stay stuck here. I don't want to do the spiritual shit. And I know this is all bullshit, but I'm just going to, be a prick anyway. And you turn into a demon. Like, those are your kind of, like, it's like a turning point, right? And you see people do that all the time. And, what these two fucks are talking about here, God does not give a shit. Now, God doesn't have a mind. It doesn't have a personality. And, all the ways that they express God or try to teach you about God. It's very primitive for dumb fucks and, brute level people who are cause and effect, double-digit IQ, binary shit, right? But God, you have to come back to God when you die. Like, when you die, you leave your body and your soul is there, and your soul is fully aware of divinity and God and these things. I mean, depending on the lives you lived and the advancement you have, your approach to God, but you're aware of it on a level that you're not. Every soul, every disembodied soul understands God way more, right? And God doesn't give a shit about war, and you don't need to be a battle axe. God doesn't need your fucking battle axe. God doesn't need you as a fucking warrior, right? Like, if you're a part of some divine drama, yeah, you play a fucking role. But that role is predetermined. You have no choice in it. You're going to do what you're going to do. And what's going to happen to you is going to happen to you, and it's out of your fucking control. You can't control it at all. Like your participation, you can't stop yourself from doing it or not doing it or whatever. And if you don't do it, someone else will. They just bring somebody else in. Like if you just refuse, which would almost never happens. Most people just do what they're supposed to do, and because they don't have control over it, right? There's a divine script, and I mean, whether this is organic or not, this battle axe thing, it isn't a fucking miracle, bro. It's just it has nothing to do with that. All right, so before I read the comment, I have a story to tell. So, my wife and I go to Tractor Supply. Tractor Supply is one of these stores that has, farm goods. Sometimes, there's another place called Southern States. I don't know. There's probably different branches. Tractor Supply is one of the bigger ones. It's not really, a hardware store as much as it is for livestock, and they have baby chicks there. Like you can buy baby chickens and all the stuff you need to raise them, and they have to feed for animals, and just all kinds of things, stuff for components to put on your tractor, these things. And my wife and I were getting some seed, and I needed we were going to put some cover crop down for something. I was going to cover something in plastic, but the plastic smelled so bad we decided against it. My wife was like, yeah, that's icky, let's just not do this. And so she was getting some seed for a cover crop, and because we have this exposed ground, and we're going to do something later on with it. But anyways, so I we had this issue with our window, and we can't get it fixed for a little bit. Like our window was cracked, and I just wanted to get something to make it last a week or so before we don't need our van. It's a whole thing. And so I went in to get this. I got a tube of stuff at the auto store, and I thought that one of these things where you have these guns that squeezes out the silicone or the whatever product from the tube, right? And I thought the gun thing was too big, but I realized it was the same size. So I went back in the store, and there's this guy, and he had like a lime green T-shirt, like a big guy, like tough looking guy with a beard. Like a duck, a Duck Dynasty motherfucker, right? And, tattoos. He's wearing some kind of lime green T-shirt with no sleeves. There's a lot of people like that. It's kind of like, it was like redneck day. It's a fucking Tractor Supply. And I noticed him because when I came back in the store, I'd seen a bunch of people, all these people. I really wasn't, conscious of them. Like I knew that they were there, and we were kind of rushing through getting our stuff. But as I'm walking in, there's a big bald guy, like a big guy who's there, checking everybody out. And he goes to the guy, "Are you ready, sir?" Right, like that, but a little less childlike. "Are we ready, sir?" And the guy said, "I was born ready," right? And so I go back and get my thing, and I come back, and there's a line, and they have one place where you can do self-checkout, like one little place, but most people don't do that because they socialize. It's kind of more of a social place, and people know each other. Like there's that kind of stuff, right? Farm store. Very seldom does anybody use the self-checkout. But the guy who was born ready is using the self-checkout, but clearly he wasn't, born ready to use the self-checkout because he takes his credit card, and I can see he's got some no hunting signs he must be putting on his property. And he's wearing a fucking Glock, right? He has a Glock strapped on for no reason. I mean, I don't know where he's going after this, but there was no reason to be brandishing a handgun at Tractor Supply, right? Like there's maybe, some insignificant crime, or crime where, around the area, but not, he just doesn't need a gun. Like he's just whatever. Maybe he's ex-military. Maybe he's just an asshole. I don't know. But he's taking his credit card, and he's trying to hit it on the screen. There's a card reader on the side. And I'm like, holy fuck, right? Like I'm kind of in a hurry, and I had to come back into the store. And I thought I'd get access to this thing, where I could just come back out. There was a little bit of a line. There's 3 people there. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, right? You're not born ready, bro. If you were born ready, you already would have figured out there's a place for you to put your card in. You know, that thing that like is perfectly shaped to insert your credit card, or better yet, tap it on the thing. First tap it, and then when that doesn't fucking work, you know, those COVID tap things that worked real well when they rolled them out, and then now they fucking never, you tap the shit out of it, then you have to insert it anyway. But he couldn't even find that fucking thing, right? He spent like 2 minutes tapping it all over the fucking TV screen. You know, like, whatever, like he just came out of the fucking jungle. Anyway, so then there's this. I saw this comment appeared on my phone, and I'm looking for it, and this person writes, until Dylan's live this morning, he talked about the stage assassination. There's a major shift to get ready for everyone to jump on the bandwagon now. Yeah, you know, I already told it. But this is the comment, right? And so my video, haha, told you Trump gives you big F you to dumb fuck MAGA truthers. And this guy says, can this guy do an hour of content without swearing? Question mark. F this and F that, blah, blah, blah. Do better. You know, I would call you by your first name, but you know. Commenter, maybe you would enjoy my content more if you weren't such a little cunt, right? Like maybe if you weren't so cunty, you would enjoy the content more. Because here's the deal with it. Either there's value in my content or not. Like if you're watching it, there's value in it. And I say this all the time. You know, you have a lot of these butthurt Christian people that grew up in a Christian family, and they're not going to murder anybody, or they're not going to, well, they may, you know, mostly they're not. And they're not going to steal. You know, they're not going to, I mean, they're more than likely, you know, they might dabble in a few little misbehaviors. But their parents are really big on them not swearing, right? And they pressure them. I discovered this. I realized this after all these comments. And so, you know, they're more upset at me for swearing than they are at Donald Trump for threatening to destroy a civilization. Like, they think my swearing is worse because their parents hammered the shit out of them, and they're all like, you know, like, they get, like, fucking shocks, like, you know, from their parents' belt hitting them on their backsides, right? There was a time where my dad, he started to hit me with his belt, right? And, you know, I was probably between 7 and 10. And he hit me with his belt, and I laughed. Like, it just didn't fucking, it didn't hurt. And I looked at my dad's face like he was trying to be a tough guy, and I was like laughing at him. And he hit me again harder, and I laughed again. And then he hit me again, and then like I'm laughing, and like, you know, I mean, he was going to have to do something where it's going to really like hurt me. And he realized he was fucked. Like I watched, and you know, my dad, I was the youngest, so my dad was already feeling insecure, and he was older. He was he was losing his testosterone, and you know, the fight was beaten out of him from doing a job he didn't like and living a fucking life of fear and failure, right? But just, you know, like he had to give up. Like he was like, you know, he just walked away with fucking his belt in his head. You know, weird fuck. And so, but anyways, you know, they're obsessed with this swearing. And so, like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. It's my content. You know, I've been doing this for so many years, and I'm not pandering to anybody. And, you know, I've talked about the swearing thing, and there's plenty of people who like the swearing. So it doesn't, you know, it isn't just for you. And so you have to make a decision whether the content is worth you being bummed out about the swearing. Like, you have to tolerate it. You have to put up with it. And I'm not saying you have to. Like, it's your choice, right? That's your choice. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not saying, you know, like, but if you think the content has value, then there's a price. And the price is for you. I mean, you're not contributing anything. You're not doing anything for me. You know, what, your one view? Like, there's this woman who said, you know, you're swearing too much. Just like 70 years ago. This older woman, she used to watch my videos all the time. And she goes, you're swearing so much, and I was really going to sit down and enjoy your video tonight, but your swearing has offended me. And so tonight, instead of, I'm going to click out of your video, and I'm going to read a book. And I'm like, who the fuck you talking to? Like, why would you think I care about that? Like, why would you fucking think that matters to me, right? Like, stop being a little cunt. Like, you know, you make your decision. You know, you don't have to leave a comment. You have to tell me. You know, like, I mean, you're trying to control my behavior, right? You're trying to use your whatever leverage you think you have in this relationship, control my behavior. And, you know, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not, you know, telling you have to watch my videos. I'm not telling you have to put up with my swearing or any of these things. You have choices. There's one in billions of social media outlets out there. I mean, how many YouTube channels are there? I just asked ChatGPT and it said there's 35 to 115 million. Between 38 million and 115 million. They don't even know how many YouTube channels there are. Never mind all the other. You have 115 million possible channels, or conservatively 38 million channels to choose from. You don't have to watch mine. You can find somebody who's similar and gives you the same kind of content without swearing. Go look for that person, right? Like, you know, but don't come to my channel and be a cunt, right? Like, that's just not cool. Like, it's not cool for you to be so cunty and be on my channel and commenting and say, do better. You do better. You make better choices. You know, you do better about, you do better at not being a cunt. Like, those are things you can work on, right? Like, you can work on, like, you know, goal number one. You know, wake up in the morning, brush my teeth, comb my hair, and don't be a cunt, right? Like, you could, like, right after you do your morning ablutions, you could work on not being so fucking cunty. Like, that's how you can do better, right? Like, I'm going to put out this content, and whether I swear or not, doesn't matter. Either has value or not. I don't know whether it has value. Some people think it does, right? So, you know, it's for you. I'm not a fan. Like, I don't watch. You know, I got better things to do. I don't listen to my own content. You know, I mean, after a while, it would get kind of insane, right? And, like, you know, I'm not a fan of my own show. So, I mean, you know, I get it. Like, I get that. But I don't leave shitty, cunty comments either, right? And so I don't really, like, leave comments and say, hey, stop swearing to myself, right? Because that would be cunty and kind of narcissistic and weird. But anyways, you know, so do better. All right, I got to wrap this thing up here. I got more stuff to cover tomorrow. Okay, it's Sunday morning. I just shot a bunch of the clips that you're going to see, and I realized that this video is not going to go up till Tuesday, so I have another thing to work out, which I don't want to talk about 10 times during this video, but that's happened. And, you know, I was reviewing this stuff, I was editing it, and, you know, it's just like I have an aversion to all these loudmouth pieces of shit that push Trump. You know, they all push Trump, and now they're coming out against him. But, like, you know, the time to talk about Ketchupgate was before the fucking election, right? Time to call it fake. And no one was calling it fake. Like, nobody was calling it fake in the truth community, at least as far as I know. And I'm not talking about, like, you know, people in comment section, but I'm talking about truthers who, especially people who had a bigger audience and had people who were going to vote for Trump, right? You know, my 3,000, 4,000 viewers, whatever I was getting, and people, you know, a small portion of them voting for Trump, even if it's half. That's only 2,000 people. Like, that's not, you know, all these people who should have spoke up then, because it was fucked up that he faked it. And, you know, like I always say, if you don't believe that it's fake, at least admit the fact that Trump wore a maxi pad that night on his fucking ear during the convention when there was no stitches given and the thing stopped bleeding immediately. Like, he didn't need even a band. Then he wore a Band-Aid over it because he didn't want to show there was nothing there. And for 13 days, he had a Band-Aid on. He wore a Band-Aid for 13 fucking days on a cut that his own doctor said was less than 2 centimeters because there was nothing there. You know, 0 is less than 2 centimeters, right? And so there was no cut. Like, there was nothing there. There's no real blood. The blood dried when he stood up, you know, immediately after those guys got off of him. And he went to the hospital, and they didn't need stitches. So he didn't need a Band-Aid. You don't need a Band-Aid. I mean, if you have something that the bleeding stops, you might want to put a Band-Aid on if it's on your hands or something to keep the dirt out, right? You know, whatever it is. But you're not going to wear a Band-Aid for fucking 13 days in a maxi pad. That's all lies. Like, that was definitely lies. Those are things that they can't be debated, right? But with all this stuff, you know, time to call Trump out on this was before the damage was done. And they didn't do it, right? They, you know, they pretended he was like a great guy. They pushed him forward, all these people. And then it comes out that he's a piece of shit. And, you know, they withhold information that they have, like Candace Owens, Like, she was still pushing Trump when she knew about all this bullshit. It was only when, like, he started to turn on her and the whole thing happened with Charlie Kirk. And then, even now, she's putting out information. Withholding information from their audience that could have helped them make their decisions, right? And so, these people are just worthless. I have an aversion to listening to them. Like, it's just, like now they're like against, oh, fuck you guys. Like, where were you when it counted, right? All right, so let's get into the other stuff here. Okay, so it's Sunday, April 12th, and I just realized this video isn't going up till Tuesday. And because of this thing we're about to watch, there's no deal. You have Gady Vance and Jared 666 Kushner here, and he made sure there was no deal. That there's going to be a lot of stuff that might happen today and Monday in Iran that I'll have to cover and put in the beginning of this video, which you probably already saw. And so I'm going to keep some of this stuff out that I was going to put in here, and keep this video open till I can see what happens Monday, because what happens Monday is going to be maybe profound, and this will be the cause. And you'll see how I work it all in. I don't know yet how to do that because I don't know what's going to happen. But this is what he said.
And let me say a couple of notes of appreciation. First of all, to the Prime Minister of Pakistan and to Field Marshal Munir, who were both incredible hosts. And whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis, who did an amazing job.
Pakistan did an amazing job.
And really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours.
Yeah, you have. Sick fuck.
And
you and Jared?
We've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement. And I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go.
Do you think that, JD? Well, as long as KD, as long as you think that, then it must be true.
Go back to the United States, having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could. And they have chosen not to accept our terms. Questions?
All right, so that, here's the part right here. This is the key part.
Nick Robertson from CNN. Precisely what have they rejected here? Can you help us understand it a little bit?
Well, I won't go into all the details because I don't want to negotiate in public after we negotiated for 21 hours in private.
Well, that's stupid. Like, unless you're still negotiating, you would just say what it is. Why not say what it is? Like, you can't tell your democratically elected people that voted for you, what the fucking holdup is. Like, you gotta say what the thing is, right? You gotta say what are the conditions that they wouldn't submit to. What were the things that you guys couldn't agree on? Like, it's simple. You could you know how to negotiate in public. It's silly. Trump blabbermouths all the time. Trump constantly is negotiating in public. Trump is making threats and doing things all the time in public and saying this can't happen, that can't happen. I mean, he negotiates on Twitter all the fucking time, on Truth Social. The fuck you talking about, right? You're supposed to be a democratically elected person who's answerable to the people. Say why the fuck you guys can't make a deal with Iran. Say it.
But the simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations. Again.
Okay, so I've talked about this before. That is not a verifiable goal, right? Because what do you want to promise them? You want a pinky promise? Like, how are you gonna, how are you gonna figure that out? Like, you have to say, like, because they have been willing to do this before. Do you want inspections? Have they said no to inspections? Right? Like, that was the big thing with Obama. They were getting inspected. They had to open up their whole thing. That was part of the Obama deal that Trump got rid of. And so they're already willing to do that, right? They are really willing to, submit to like inspections. Like you could just say, but we don't think that they're being serious about this. But really, it's about, are they going to do it in secret? Are they secretly trying to get a nuclear weapon? And why the fuck wouldn't they? Like after all that's happened here, because if they had a nuclear weapon, you wouldn't be pulling this shit right now, and neither would be Israel. As soon as Iran got a nuclear weapon, then you can't be doing this kind of stuff. Because, as much as you want to bully somebody, they can always drop the bomb, especially on Israel so close to them. Israel would not be able to stop them from dropping a bomb. That's why you guys don't want to let them, get a nuclear weapon, because then you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing now. Operation Midnight Hammer and fucking Epic Fury, like these little gay things you guys say. Right? But, like it's not a real provable thing. You don't think they're serious? I don't think they're serious about it. I don't think they're serious about not getting a nuclear weapon. Like that's some vague bullshit, right? And so, I mean, they got you by the balls because they got this Iranian Strait thing. Trump is trying to claim, I'll show you a couple of videos from Trump, that they can open this strait in 20 minutes, right? But they just haven't done it yet.
Their nuclear program, such as it is, the enrichment facilities that they had before, they've been destroyed.
Obliterated.
But the simple question is, do we see a fundamental commitment of will for the Iranians not to develop a nuclear weapon? What
does that mean? Fundamental commitment of will. What does that fucking mean? It means that what happened here is that Lebanon is the issue, right? It has nothing to do with this bullshit, right? And he doesn't want to say that because Israel said, fuck you, we're bombing Lebanon. We don't give a shit, which is a war crime, which is Lebanon has nothing to do with it. They're bombing civilians. Israel doesn't give a shit. And so he doesn't want to come out and say that this was an Israeli problem. Gady Vance wants to have it both ways. He wants to say that he was against the war. They leaked all that shit. I was trying to think back to vice presidents that became presidents, right? Now, there's Gerald R. Ford when Nixon resigned, right? But he ran and lost, or whatever happened. He disappeared. He was a two-year presidency or whatever it was. Nixon had less left on his presidency. But Gerald R. Ford, I don't think he was a nominee. I don't think he ran against Carter. I think Carter came after Nixon, right? Just, as a kid. But I don't think he lost to Carter. I think he lost in the primary. Who did Carter run against? I could look that up in a bit. But George H. Walker Bush was a one-term vice president who became president, right? George Bush Sr. And other than that, in my lifetime, I don't remember a vice president became president. It just doesn't happen. People want to move on from administration. And they're going to want to move on from this one. And J.D. Vance is not likable. I don't think he's possible. It depends on who they ran. And the Democrats have produced some real fucking winners, right? So, I don't even know. But I think this is going to be so bad for the Republicans, the Trump stuff. They're not going to be, we won't see another Republican president for like 12 years or some shit like that, right? And the Republican Party and the people are going to be scrambling. The division has set in, right? All that shit I was talking about with TPUS Gay and Tucker Carlson. And they were, the division that's happening. These people who used to, be together. Tucker Carlson was a big part of Charlie Kirk and TPUS Gay, and now he's been exiled because of Trump's tweets and, him going after Trump. This is the stuff that's happening. There's a fundamental fucking, divorce that's happening within the Republican Party. Never mind what's going on in America. And so, you have this, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene being celebrated on CNN and these other places. And so that's, that's where the Republicans are at. But this guy has like zero chance. He's trying to have it both ways. Trump is trying to throw him under the bus, which I'll show you. Like he admits this, there's a clip coming. And, but the bottom line is this is about Israel. Israel wants to bomb Lebanon, and Iran said, no, we're not allowing you to do that. And therefore, the world's going to suffer. The Strait of Hormuz is going to stay closed. And this thing's going to escalate. And just say what the truth is, that you can't control fucking Israel. Israel fucked you, right? Israel, talked Trump into this thing. And if J.D. Vance had real reservations, he should come out and fucking say it. Like he can't have it both ways, where you're supporting the president and the commander-in-chief, and yet knowing that this is a bad idea, right? And come back later and say, I knew it was a bad idea, but I had to go along. No, fuck you, right? But that's, Like he's politically dead. No one likes this fucking guy.
Just now, not just 2 years from now, but for the long term. We haven't seen that yet. We hope that we will. Jen.
Is there a framework on anything? And also, did the Iranian frozen assets come up, and did you reach any conclusions on those frozen assets?
We talked about all those issues, Jen, and we talked about a number of issues beyond that. And so certainly those things came up. But again, we just could not get to a situation where the Iranians were willing to accept our terms. I think that we were quite flexible. We were quite accommodating. The president told us, you need to come here in good faith and make your best effort to get a deal.
Oh, that's what he didn't. He didn't say just go show up and whatever. Of course he wants a fucking deal. The Strait's fucking him. Like there's a new video about Iran. It's all financial shit. We'll show you that clips of that, like pictures, because it fucking. There's some people are starting to copyright, like third parties are pretending they own the fucking rights to this thing and trying to make money off of it. It's just like people just suck so bad.
We did that, and unfortunately, we weren't able to make any headway. Preston.
Mr. Vice President, how often did you communicate with President Trump throughout the negotiations? There were reports.
All right, so these fucking guys. I don't think there's anything interesting. This guy's just a fucking snooze fest. Let's go to Trump here first. Before we get to Trump here, remember, folks, these women never met each other. There's all these pictures together. And that's young. She's young there, right? Like just whatever it is. And Lonnie and the rest of them. So there's that. Sunday here. Well, it's Sunday when I shot this, but I'm editing. And, I realize these pictures, there's so many pictures of Ghislaine Maxwell standing with, like, Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre, for example, right? Standing with the guy that she's pimping for and the girl that she's pimping out, right? Like, this happens all the time. It happened all the time. She would, be there pimping out some girl to some powerful person, and then three of them would take a picture together. Like, she's in these pictures with these girls and these guys all the time. And, I've seen various examples. And this is a young Melania Trump. Like, she's clearly much younger than pre-plastic surgery and all her stuff. So, maybe, this is like, not that, but it definitely could be, So the Artemis 2 crew returned. I got two things here from Trump. And nobody gave a shit, right? Like it was a non-event. But I think it gets into Gady Vance in a second here. Let's do this first.
We've totally defeated that country. And so let's see what happens. Maybe they make a deal, maybe they don't.
Okay, so why are you trying to negotiate with a country you totally defeated? You lying sack of shit. Because Trump knows more than anything, knows more than anybody about leverage, or at least he used to. The art of the deal. Because Trump won all his deals through whatever negotiations were through leverage, right? And he knows who has the leverage in a situation. Like if, Israel has videos of him Epsteining some girls, then they have the leverage, right? Because they show that he's done. Like this kind of thing. So he knows leverage. And you don't negotiate with someone who doesn't have leverage. You tell them what you want to do, right? When you totally defeated them, right? Then he says this.
From the standpoint of America, we win. One of the things that's happening is that boats are sailing up and heading out to our country. Big, beautiful tankers, and we're loading them up with oil and gas and everything else. And it's a pretty beautiful thing to see.
They're sailing. Are they sailing? Those big oil tankers have sails on them. They're sailing up the Strait of Hormuz. So that's the leverage, right? Strait of Hormuz is the leverage. And Trump has already said, you just need one guy with a truck and some mines, some drones and shit, and they can close these fucking things. And they got all this stuff in there. They have all these weapons that Trump and America can't do anything about. And they can get more from China and Russia, right? Like, so they can, have this backdoor supply, and they can just close the Strait of Hormuz, right? And, and Iran can put their ships out. They can make money on their oil, which is, they're getting record prices on. And Russia can make money on their oil, which they're getting record prices on. And so can America, but, that's neither here nor there. And so, you know, everyone else suffers, right? So he knows that they got him by the balls, and he can't do shit about it.
We're going to see what happens. We're in very deep negotiations with Iran. We win regardless. We've defeated them militarily.
You know, you keep on saying that, but then you don't need to negotiate. Like right now, they're fucking you with the Strait of Hormuz.
They've dropped a couple of water mines. You call them water mines in the boat. We've defeated all of their water boats, too.
They're water boats and they're water mines. They have the boats in the water. The ones that are in the water, those boats and those mines, that water mines.
Navy has gone 158 ships. They have 28 water droppers, mine droppers, they call them. All of them are sunk.
They're all sunk. We sunk every one of those water mine droppers.
They probably have a couple of mines in the water. We have mine sweepers out there. We're sweeping the Strait. In addition to that, we're negotiating whether we make a deal or not. Makes no difference to me.
Makes no difference to me. So he's negotiating in public, right? You see that? That's negotiation. We've defeated that thing, and we've opened the Strait. We've got their mine boats, and we got these things.
And the reason is because we've won. Whether you listen to the fake news or not, you know, it's amazing. Their credibility is down to 13%. The media credibility down to 13%. Think of it.
Look, all of a sudden you believe in polls now?
We defeated their Navy. We defeated their Air Force. We defeated their anti-aircraft. We defeated their radar. We defeated...
You know, and didn't you guys just rescue some pilots?
Their leaders. Their leaders are all dead. And now all we do is we'll open up the Strait even though we don't use it because we have a lot of other countries in the world that do use it that are either afraid or weak or cheap. I don't know what it is, but we were not helped by NATO, that I can tell you.
Yeah, we weren't helped by NATO. Even though we didn't need them, but we needed them. And when we needed them, they weren't there for us. And they didn't give me fucking Greenland when I asked for it. And, you know, the Strait of Hormuz is going to be opened, but it, you know, isn't. Fuck you talking about, right? And look at this defeated fuck, because he knows he's caught between the Strait of Hormuz and Israel. Like, Israel owns his little, tiny, little, fat fucking, you know, orange ass, right? And, you know, whatever's going on there, and he can't tell them to, you know, stop their bullshit. And so this is where we're at, right?
He's doing a great job, and he's working on the deal, right? How's that moving? Is it okay? The big deal? You see it happening? So if it doesn't happen...
We're going to brief you. We don't want to talk about this in public.
I'm blaming J.D. Vance. If it does happen, I'm taking full credit.
You know, like, why would he joke about that? Now, like, you know, and he's not fucking... He's told that that's how he is, right? Like, when people talk about good leaders, like when they talk about sports leader, you know, a team leader, you know, an athlete who's a leader on a team, and they talk about these other things, what do they talk about? Guys who take responsibility. Guys who don't throw other people under the bus. You know, people who, you know, always blame themselves even if it isn't their fault. Like who, you know, go down with the ship, this kind of thing, right? People who don't, you know, whine and, you know, whatever. It's not my fault. You know, I'm a victim, and, you know, it's unfair what they're doing with the Strait of Hormuz. Like, they're not supposed to do that. We defeated them. You know, with him. Well, they're not playing fair. You know, this stuff, right? Whiny, you know, all about it. It's not about, like, this is all about credit. Like, Trump talks about himself and credit for this and trying to give himself credit and give himself the fucking Nobel Peace Prize and making up prizes because he can't get that one, and, you know, needing some, like, just the pats on the back, and, you know, and, like, he's getting hammered by people like, you know, Tucker Carlson, these people, and he, like, has to turn on them because, you know, and disavow them, all their opinion, they're stupid people, you know, this kind of thing that he does. Like, because he needs total, like, you know, validation from, like, shit that you shouldn't need that from. You know, and so he's, like, the worst type of leader. Like, to say that shit about J.D. Vance, right? You know, he'll take the credit if it goes well. He'll blame J.D. if it doesn't. I mean, that's, you know, this is Trump. This is what he's known for. He throws people under the bus. Like, he's, like, how are you going to think this guy's going to make America great again? He has the worst fucking character.
What did you tell J.D. Vance before he left, sir?
Well,
I wish him luck. He's got a big thing. We'll find out what's going on.
He's got a big thing.
Like he's an observer of the process of the war he started. What?
All right, so there's Trump. Okay, so this happened with Lindsey Graham.
We're dealing with a failed presidency called Joe Biden. The Iranians have flush with cash because of Obama and Biden. Now they're on their back foot, and we're going to finish this job. I pray for a deal, but if they refuse a deal, just ask Maduro what happens when you turn down a good deal. Call him, but he's in jail. You won't be in jail. You're going to be dead.
All right, so this tough talking guy is like this closeted gay Republican Christian fucking piece of shit, right? Let me just go to this one more thing here. And so this guy, Rabbi Shmuley, whose daughter owns a sex toy shop where she sells kosher sex toys, dildos, right? This weird fucking self-promoting. Like, Jesus Christ, all right. So this has a heavy metal song, which isn't as pleasant to listen to. But this one gets into the economics, and they're talking about silver here. There's a whole thing with silver. And, they're copywriting these things, and I don't know, obviously the Iranians want these things going out, right? These are being targeted. They're not, there's a different type of genre of videos that would appeal to America. This isn't for the Iranian people, right? This is to undermine Trump and all this stuff. And I don't know who's copywriting these things and whatever it is, but either way, it doesn't matter. Like, different people are trying to make money on the thing. But they're saying that there's going to be a draft here on December 2026. And they're going to have to draft everybody. And these guys are partying with Epstein. And then the oil prices going up. This is about how they feel like, and that the vaults are empty and our cash is worthless, right? And they have all this, printing money, which of course drives up inflation. They're going to have to do this to pay for the war and to deal with the Strait of Hormuz, and then all this worthless money. And then they have, right here before that, they have a ball coming down here, right? There's ball. There's two different balls there. There's this ball here. There's a ball up here coming in. The bull and the bear market in Wall Street, and this is the flooding here. And ball and all this fucking worthless printed cash, right? And then fake peace, and the cops coming in and beating the shit out of these people there. And then Trump eating a big fucking Big Mac on his golf course, right? As these guys die in the drafted war. And this Kings thing. And that, they're mostly focused on economic collapse. Like, they think that they have a winning hand. Again, not defeating America militarily, but economically. And, and that's what's going on right now, and all these missiles and shit coming in. And then a fucking rat eating a worthless dollar here, right? And so there's stuff to do with silver here, huh? They talk about silver here, somewhere around here at the end of this thing. The silver market. Anyways, and then they have the Grim Reaper here. I'll show you this part. The Grim Reaper on the White House. So, they're, targeting the financial market. Like, this is the obvious plan here. They knew they could close the Strait of Hormuz. That America can't do shit. Trump's just figuring that out. I mean, he has figured it out. And then he doesn't know what to do because Israel won't let him off the fucking hook. So he's caught between his Epstein, whatever the leverage Israel has over him and the leverage Iran has over the Strait of Hormuz and the economy and all that shit. And he's a selfish prick. Like, he's not, any human being would realize that this is going to fuck up the world. but he's doing what's best for him. And the most selfish, childish fucking piece of, he's just like just a degraded piece of shit. Like he represents everything that, you know, is the reason why the system has to collapse. Like he's the epitome of, you know, choosing himself over creation, right? Trump is choosing himself over creation, and all these fucking piece of shit enablers that pushed him out there like he was a good guy and he could save America and all that shit. You know, like this was going to happen. Like this was just going to happen. Like I've talked about, there's a plan here. You know, there's contingencies. There's ways that God has of pulling everything back in and not using some gay fucking battle axe, right? You know, like stupid shit. Like, you know, just the use of a thought, just a divine thought by a, you know, a thought applied with a sankalpa, which is a, you know, is a Sanskrit word for divine will. And if the higher developed soul is given an order, they make with a sankalpa, a will, a force of will to do something that God orders to be done. That's all it takes. Like it's just a thought, and then all these things can happen. Like all the, you know, actions and all the, you know, that leads to the inevitable collapse. But anyways, like holy shit. So let me figure out what I'm going to do again. It's Sunday, you know, last shit's going to happen Monday, and I have to deal with, you know, adding that to this video. And I don't know if I'm going to add it here at the end. I'll probably add it at the beginning. So, you know, I have to finagle all these things. Like this is just what has to happen when I start a video early and there's all this stuff I want to put in my next video. And, you know, here we are. Anyways, I'll wrap this up, come back and wrap this up later. Okay, Monday, April 13th. That was from last night, Sunday. Seems like fucking 3 days have passed since I made this. I don't even know what the fuck I was talking about here. But what a fucking mess. And, you know, I'll continue on tomorrow with more videos. I'm just going to upload this and, you know, yada, yada, yada. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paramano definitely pouring for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.